The second summit between President Trump and North Korea's Kim Jong Un about to be underway. Later this morning, President Trump will touch down in Vietnam. Yesterday, Kim arrived via train. The two leaders will meet briefly tomorrow night before having dinner. Let's bring in NBC News Chief Global Correspondent Bill Neely live from Hanoi, Vietnam. Bill, set the scene for us.
Yeah, good morning, Mika. Kim Jong Un has made probably the longest journey by any leader to any summit in half a century. It took him 2.5 days to get here by train. He's now about half a mile from where I'm standing at the Melia Hotel, and we understand he's about to go and visit the North Korean embassy here. Interesting, of course, that North Korea and the US both have embassies here in Hanoi. President Trump due to arrive, thankfully, by plane around 9:15 Eastern Time. He'll then go to his hotel. We understand from the White House that they will then, tomorrow evening, have a conversation before a dinner, probably at the Hanoi Opera House right behind me. And that dinner will be President Trump, Kim Jong Un, Mike Pompeo, and probably representing or being with Kim Jong Un, his sister, and his spy chief, General Kim Jong-chol, the man who delivered letters personally from Kim to the White House. Expectations for this summit are fairly low, but they have to achieve more than Singapore. Remember, Singapore was as much about the meeting as anything else. The symbolism was as important as the substance, but I think we need substance here. We need to expand on those vague promises to work towards denuclearization. Since then, there's been no evidence that Kim is disarming, no evidence that he even wants to disarm, certainly no inventory, no timetable, no roadmap. Really, all of that has to be fleshed out. And of course, great fears that President Trump, as there were before the Singapore summit, that President Trump will somehow give away more than he gets. But definitely progress here has to be made. Mika?
Well, Bill, I mean, it's an important point. This, like the last summit, this summit appears to be a summit for the sake of having a summit. The president keeps talking about his wonderful personal relationship with Kim Jong Un, keeps talking about denuclearization, but there's nothing in any public or private comments, nothing along diplomatic lines that would suggest North Korea is moving towards denuclearizing. Is there?
No, not in the least, and U.S. officials have been at pains to point out that the centrifuges are still spinning, that there is evidence that North Korea is still producing nuclear fuel, that it's still working on long-range ICBM missiles capable of hitting the United States. And of course, Dan Coats, Director of National Intelligence, much to Donald Trump's displeasure, testified just a few weeks ago that he thought it unlikely that North Korea would ever denuclearize. And there is no evidence that he's even made the decision to do so. So we are such a long way back from, remember, a year ago, the demand that there should be complete, irreversible, verifiable denuclearization, along with the word immediate. In one of his last tweets, President Trump said denuclearization ? Even he seems to be questioning the possibility of denuclearizing. I think the acid test at the end of this summit will be, is there any agreement on a list, for example? Because you can't denuclearize if you don't know what nuclear facilities, weapons and materials North Korea has. So that will be one thing to look out for on Thursday evening. Has North Korea agreed to produce a list?
And of course, President Trump said in June after the last summit, quote, there is no longer a threat, a nuclear threat from North Korea. So, Bill, I guess my question to you is now, with a second summit between the leader of the free world and the North Korean dictator in just 8 months, what's the view from North Korea's side of this? Are they, in fact, surprised by how willing President Trump has been to meet with Kim Jong Un? Are they surprised at how open he's been in saying, thank you for your commitment to denuclearization, when North Korea knows full well it's not in the process of denuclearizing?
Well, interestingly, today's North Korean main newspaper is full, and I mean full, virtually every single page of talk about this summit. And North Korea has been full of flowery phrases and flattering remarks about the United States and about President Trump in particular. It's a long, long way from their, policy over the last 10 or 20 years, which has been threatening a sea of fire and fury and nuclear Armageddon on the United States. So, they are playing this game. In a way, you could say there's an agreed fiction here. North Korea, if you like, is promising to talk about denuclearization and promising the idea that it will disarm, and President Trump is going along with that. I mean, it's a useful fiction for both sides, but certainly in all the visits I had to North Korea, I remember every single official saying, we will never give up our nuclear weapons. It is our sword of protection. Kim Jong Un's regime believes it needs its nuclear weapons for its very survival. So I think U.S. officials are equally skeptical that North Korea will ever fully dismantle its nuclear arsenal.
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.